Hello and welcome to Studio Farrago. My name is Lorraine and this is my first finished sketchbook tour. This is actually the first sketchbook I finished since probably high school. I've done a lot of artwork, just not a lot of finishing sketchbooks. This one I actually did very quickly, June 3rd through 6th of this year, 2024. I was so excited to finish this because I had gotten a new pen. This is called a LAMY Safari. It is a fountain pen. I got it from a website that I will link down below. I have gotten an ink for it that is a waterproof ink called the Atramentis Document Black. So I could go in with the artwork and then go in with watercolor afterwards and not have to worry about the lines smearing. So let's get started. This is my practice page as it was. I started out with the pen and ink and just did a few little thumbnails and practice pieces so I could get a feel for the pen and get a feel for how the ink worked with watercolor on it. I've got a whale, a mushroom, a frog, and some stylized rocks. And then we go into a different pen. This is actually called a Pilot Metropolitan. It is another pen that I got at the same time with a different ink. I love this. Isn't that beautiful purple? The ink is called Jacques Herbin 1798 Amethyst de L'Oral. It is not a waterproof ink. As you can see, I have gone in with a water brush and smoothed the ink out like a watercolor paint. And of course I added some green watercolor paint to the eggplant here, but I was just trying out this ink to see how it did underwater and for sketching, and I use it mostly for writing quotes and writing pretty letters, but I also tried it out for sketching. Then I get into practicing style. I wanted to see how I wanted to do the style of the artwork, whether or not I wanted to have the paint go over the lines and outside the lines in a sort of stylized way, or whether or not I wanted the paint to be inside the lines. And so in the next few pages I am trying out those ideas to see what I like best. All of these I went in with the ink and pen first and drew the pictures, and then went in subsequently with watercolor to add the color. I've got a couple of frogs and a couple of carrots. Here I decided that I liked a semi-loose style. As you can see with the thistle on the left, I have some of the watercolor going outside the ink lines. The fish on the right, I keep the watercolor mostly within the ink lines, and subsequently decided that that was more what I liked. I have more carrots. This sketchbook features heavily on vegetables because they are so simple and easy to draw. They are bright and bold and fun to paint. As you can see, I use both techniques on this one. I keep the orange within the lines, I keep the green outside of the lines, and I kind of decided that that's how it worked best, is just seeing case-by-case basis what I liked. On the right, I've got an onion and some really quick and easy lavender flowers. More vegetables and some fruits and a landscape. The chilies on the left I thought was a really interesting idea with the doodles, so I tried that out. I've got the pumpkins, some pears on the right, and a quick little landscape. I'm not sure how I do with landscapes, but I'm just kind of trying it out to see. More vegetables. Surprise, surprise. We've got some, well, what are those? Turnips? I think those are turnips. And some fall leaves on the right. As you can see, some of the green from the turnips has gotten onto the right, but that's a sketchbook. That's kind of what happens. I really do like these leaves. They are some of my favorite pieces in the whole sketchbook. I think the coloring turned out well and the drawing on them turned out very nicely. We're getting into more plant material. We're doing some mushrooms. I tried to leave some white space on these mushrooms on the left, but I'm not sure that I like how that turned out. In watercolor, it's important to leave white spaces. It really adds to the effect of the painting. but in this particular case, I'm not sure how it worked and how I liked it. I've got two morels on the right. I prefer the bottom one to the top, but they both turned out fairly well. Now into my favorite subject. You're going to see a lot of frogs in all of my artworks. I love frogs, and my first video here on YouTube is about frogs and a frog drawing. So I have got various types of frogs in here that I did some basic sketching and some basic watercolor in. And more frogs, of course, on the left. And then I got inspired and got more ideas for what I wanted to do and decided to branch out into crabs. So I've got a blue crab here. I really like how the glaze turned out on this, putting the different colors over the top of each other, and I'm pretty pleased with this particular piece. And I've got a couple more crabs on the left, a hermit crab and just a regular crab. Hermit crab, once again, trying to add some of those white spaces, not sure if I liked it or not. Then back into some fruits with a pomegranate and cut pomegranate. Those seeds took quite a long time to create, and I've got one right here that didn't work out in the same color, and it bugs the crap out of me, but you know, I'm probably the only one that notices that. Then I decided to do something that my husband absolutely loves. He's a fan of cephalopods and octopuses, and so I tried out some tentacles. And then on the right, I've got a goldfish and a guppy. I really got thick on the pigment for the guppy. You can see the reds are very, very dark, and the orange and the yellow is very, very dark. I almost use the watercolor as a gouache when it comes to that. And in this, you'll see in most of the things that are red, I do use very thick pigment. I'm not sure that I particularly like that, but that's how it ended up working out. Back to fruits and vegetables. I've got some mushrooms. I tried out kind of a sketchy style with the ink outline. And then I saw some figs online that a lady had painted with these bright colors and different neon colors, and I thought they were fantastic. I will try and find that and link that down below. And so I wanted to try those out with the figs. And as you can see, the cherry, I busted out the neon watercolors for these particular pieces. And as you can see, the cherries are very dark and almost gouache-like when I use the pigment. Those figs are some of my favorite. More neon paint for some calla lilies, and then some very, very quick sketches of dragonflies that took maybe 2 seconds to paint on that particular day. I just wanted to get something done fairly quickly. Then I got the idea of doing beetles. Well, there's another vegetables. We've got some peppers. And then I got the idea of doing beetles, so I pulled out the metallic watercolors for this. It's kind of hard to see the shine on the video, but I've got metallics on these two and a light metallic on this guy right here that adds to the finish. I really like these. I think they turned out very nicely. There's some smearing, but that happens. It's a sketchbook. Tried out a grasshopper here. Pretty quick style, pretty quick painting. It's all right. Maybe a background might help, but that would be a lot of painting. And on the right, I was trying out a different style, basic ink drawing with just a little bit of color and some more color and texturing in the background. I'm not particularly sure how I like this one, how it turned out. I think the background is nice, but not necessarily with the log in the front. Here's another log that I tried out. I really like how this one turned out, especially with the hints of moss on it. You can see that I kept the watercolor a little loose when it comes to the leaves, and I like how it turned out on that particular piece. On the right, just a little violet. Once again, I'm trying to keep some of the white spaces, so I think on this particular piece it worked out fairly well. Here's another one that's one of my favorites, this birch tree with just a kind of a foresty background. I like how the line drawing turned out on this, and I like how the painting turned out on this. On the right, I've got a hawk. I kept fairly minimal in the middle, detailed on the head and down at the feet, and just a light hint of detail in the watercolor. Once again, I think maybe a background might help this, and I'm not sure if I would add more detail to the body if I did one in the future. And last piece, just a quick landscape. I will link the inspiration for this one down below as well. I really like how the rocks turned out on this one. Background, not so much, considering it's left a lot of white space around the trees. I'm not sure how I would do that in the future, if I would do the background first and then the trees. But overall, it was a decent finish to this little sketchbook. I know it's not very big, there's not very many pages in it, but I am extremely proud of finishing this. I'm very happy with how it turned out, and I am looking forward to making more of them. Thank you for joining me and looking through my sketchbook with me. I am a sketchbook artist, so I intend to have many more sketchbook tours in the future. I work on different sketchbooks at a time, and hopefully we'll finish up some of them soon. Please give this video a like if you liked it, and if you want to see more drawing, sketching with me, sketchbook tours, please stick around and subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.